I think if I hear you call me Becky one more time, six-pack, I'm gonna pop your tops. All six of them.
Who are you?
Hey, this is Matt once again. We're about to another review. This is another paid request, this time from Paul. And for those interested in requesting pretty much any type of video, review, re-review, topic, reaction, commentary, what have you, out of the blueness, randomness, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both links are down below in the info box. And this is for I Drink Your Blood. I'm not drinking your blood. I mean, I don't want the... I'll drink this. I'll drink this, which I guarantee this tastes better than blood. Now, some places say this is 1970s. Other places say this came out in 1971. I don't know. I'm just going to put 1970 for the sake of argument. Again, some say 70, some say 71. Now, this was more famous or infamous for being on a double bill with I Drink Your Blood and then I Eat Your Skin. I'm surprised there wasn't another double feature with I Suck on Your Ass and I Bite Your Dick. I mean, I'd probably see that double feature less, or it probably around in porn theaters. But this is I Drink Your Blood, and from what I understand, the movie was made because it was inspired by two incidents. One, apparently in Iran, in a village, there were these wolves that were rabid, and they attacked a schoolhouse and infected the people with rabies. The other thing is there was a trial going on. It was the Charles Manson trial. Thus, you have this film where you have a group of folks who are hippies and heavily inspired by Charles Manson. They're occult, satanic worship and rituals, and they attack this girl. They don't kill her. They attack her, and then they let her go. She gets away to her younger brother and her grandpa, and she just wants to forget about it. And the Charlie Manson-like hippies, they get into their van, not down by a river, but they go into this town, which happens to be that girl's town. And this is a town that's almost completely empty. And so it's like, hey, they're going to have fun. They get to this abandoned place. They wreck the crap out of it. The grandpa learns. He goes in to confront them, but they fuck with them and give him LSD to trip him out. And the younger brother, I don't know if he's like 10, 12 years old, he's had enough of this. So it's a very... I've never seen this done before. So the hippie, this woman who runs the bakery, is going to give them meat pies. So behind their backs, the kid takes almost a plunger. Might as well be a plunger, but takes a needle. He found a dog that he had to kill who had the rabies. So he gets the blood from that, and he puts the rabies infested blood of this dead dog into each of the meat pies. So when these hippies eat it later, unbeknownst to all, including the kid, I guess the kid thought, hey, they'll get sick, fuck them, which I can't blame the kid. But instead, they get infected and they go apeshit crazy. Kind of like, I think this was even before the Crazies with George Romero. I'm trying to remember what year that came out. Because I know it was before Dawn of the Dead, but it was after Night of the Living Dead. Night of the Living Dead was 68, 69, and this is 70, 71, so yeah, before the Crazies and before this other stuff, let alone 28 Days Later with the rage virus, these people going crazy with rabies, especially these hippies, and they start killing people. And the film's not that gory. There's little bits of blood. There's little bits of gore. It's not like it's barren of that. But it's a movie that's very strange. And while it does have its issues, the strangeness, and plus it's a very short film, I did not mind the one guy who's the Charlie Manson type leader. I thought the actor actually did a pretty decent job being this crazed nut type of leader. And yes, the acting can be fairly overzealous. It definitely has that rough grindhouse look to it, like a Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which, yeah, that's better than this movie, but I almost want to say grungy look to it. And the music at times is like more sound effect than music, both as a positive and a negative. At times the kind of off the wall weirdness of the film, the setup. I mean, again, not every day that fucking rabies blood infested the meat pies and they eat it. That's not every day that happens. Bhaskar Roy Chowdhury. Sorry, I cannot pronounce his name correctly. He played the leader. I thought, again, he did a fairly decent job as a guy who seemed committed to what he is, as being this nut, this leader. And it's definitely a movie that made me go, what the hell's going to happen next? And I was talking about the music. At times it has this very weird, almost, I don't want to say creepy, but, and unsettling is too strong of a word, but just gave it a weird vibe. And then at times it got annoying. Like there's a point where it sounds like a big fly buzzing, and the buzzing is getting louder and louder and louder. And this is when, like, these two guys who enter this abandoned place, and this is when the hippies have been infected, and the two guys get killed. One gets hung, and the other gets stabbed. And you have this very loud, buzzing sound effect. I'm like, this sucks. Like, this sound effect thing sucks. It ruined it. Again, sometimes it's trippy, which is the best, that's a better word. And so again, it's a positive and a negative. Sometimes it works, sometimes it just too much. Like too much of the loud music. Again, the ones with the loud fly buzzing. I'm like, I don't like flies buzzing in my room, let alone to see in a fucking movie. But yeah, it's one of those movies that it has some weird dialogue. Like early on when the lady's been attacked and more than likely raped, and she runs off and there's some conversation, one person goes, well, rape is a little out of an engineer's domain. I'm like, what the fuck does that mean? Like, but yeah, the people play the hippies, the cult Manson family type. I bought them in their roles. It might not be grade A acting, A, but for what they were supposed to do, especially the leader, they worked fine. And again, the weirdness where they're bad people, but they're not going to the typical, they just randomly start killing people. They're just being complete assholes, let alone fucking rape someone. But then they're like, we'll have a rat hunt, and then we're going to barbecue them. And then they wreck the place. And then cut to, they have a rat kebab. Not shish kebab, a rat kebab they did put on the barbecue. I'm like, really? Go to the store and get some crackers or some cookies. I think you could do that without having to resort to eating rats. But it seems like they did just for the fun of it. And like I said, when they were making the grandpa hallucinate with LSD, and like I said, the guy with the cold memories does a good job being an asshole. Hey, grandpa, let's get your glasses, you know? You know what, you got that gun. You're not aiming properly. Let me get your glasses. You see, these need to be clean if you don't aim properly. See, they clean. There you go. It's definitely interesting, to say the least. Like I say, it does have low production values. I guess it depends how you're into that whole, like I said, early 70s grungy look to it. That's perfectly grindhouse look. If someone says what a grindhouse look, they would go the higher level, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, or, this. And yeah, I wouldn't say the acting is stellar, but it's still kind of fun to watch. And again, I'm not minding the look of it, the weird trippy music that's sometimes working, sometimes not. I'm like, where's this going? Because I didn't know much about this film. I had heard of the title, but I did not know the plot of this film. So when it got to that, I went, oh, this ain't going to end well. And again, it has this off-the-wall weirdness to it. And then when they've eaten these hippies, this meat pie is infected with dead dog rabies, the blood, they start going crazy. And pretty much they start, killing people. These construction guys pick up one of the hippie girls and get the idea she's going to fuck them, and then all of them are crazy, and pretty much the Alka-Seltzer is foaming out of their mouths. Again, it's hard to call this a good film because there's a lot of weird, like, editing. There's certain moments you go, what? I mentioned these two guys get killed. They go into a room and it takes them forever to notice that there's a dead guy right here on the floor, like 2 feet away from them. And like I said, some of the music, if you want to call it music choices, there's a little bit of gore. Someone gets their hand cut off. One again gets hung. And when he gets hung, like, he's immediately dead. Like, usually if you don't get hung, no, immediately, as soon as he gets hung, boom, dead. Like, imagine this is a person, imagine this is the news, boom, dead. Like, wow, that was quick. One person is found with a pitchfork in their neck. Again, it's nothing to run home about. It's not like a lot of special effects in the film. It's a very low budget. And like I said, when I mentioned some editing weirdness, well, that's going to spoil it. I guess the best way to put it is, even with this low budget affair, while the acting's not the best and the editing is a bit wonky at times, apparently this is one of the first films to receive an X rating just on violence alone, I don't see that. I mean, yeah, I think though, this is 1970, 1971. Even the little bits that seem tame today, this is only a year or two after, Night of the Living Dead. And what people saw back then was very different from what they saw now. So when you're watching it nowadays, it's very tame, but the idea and a little bit of the blood, it's a bit like there's a person that gets decapitated. That wasn't the norm. Again, it's not like the gore is Friday the 13th, that type of gore. It's just a little bit, but again, it was a different ball game back then. Different ball game. So yeah, at the time it received an X rating for violence. I guess it was, like I said, one of the first for that to happen. But yeah, the hippies, like, I didn't, as villains, I didn't mind their acting, especially the lead Manson, like, cult member. It's trippy idea and weird soundtrack for the most part. Kept me interested. Like I said, it's a very short film. I guess if you're a fan of exploitation films, it's worth a look. To go into spoilers, start now. What I mean by editing, like for example, at the end, you have the little boy, the sister, and the lady who's a baker. They get attacked in a car, and the film is so cheap that they could not film the actual car being turned over. So then you have the people in the car, you have this weird, I don't even call it effect, but like this weird thing they do with the camera, like just turn the camera and cut away. I'm like, what the fuck happened? And then, oh, I find out later, oh, it's because their car was turned over. They just couldn't afford it. Or even the end of the film, it seems very abrupt. And that's because apparently the original ending for this was a bit more of a downer. Again, spoilers, where of the three, the cops come, they shoot everybody who is infected. They shoot everybody who's infected, and the three survive along with the cops. But then the baker lady, she's infected and bites like the sheriff or whatever. Well, he's not really the sheriff, but she bites someone. Not the kid, not the sister, but someone. I don't know the details yet. I didn't see it. Apparently, I guess it's out on home video, Blu-ray, like a lot of exploitation films are, so I guess they put that back in. But the version I saw was on YouTube. And the version I saw, they cut that out, so it's a more happier ending. Their car's been overturned, but the cops have come, and other people, they shoot the shit out of all the infected. Boom, the three are alive. And then it cuts to the end credits, and the little kid is just randomly walking around a field with a toy gun. I went, what the fuck was that? Like, why is there just a random shot of a kid? And then I looked up, there was another scene that was cut out, where the kid apparently went to some... Oh, the kid, I guess, wanted to confess that he put the rabies blood in the meat pies and it was his fault. And he went to the cops and the cops laughed at him. Oh, that's a likely story, son. Get out of here. And then the kid kind of went, whatever. And then he wandered off into the field with his toy gun. And I don't know why they cut that bit out. Like, okay, if you want to cut out the bit where you want to have less of a downer ending, that's fine, but go from that to then the kid talking to the cops so that it wouldn't be so random to... It's these two guys talking about... Oh, they were talking about... Because one thing I did not realize is apparently rabies leads to hydrophobia, where you're afraid of the water. And I'm like, did they make this up? But apparently that's a real thing. That if you get rabies or something, like the idea of water will either make you gag or make you choke or give you an instant succinct fear. And I never knew about that. Hence, I guess one of the original titles for this film was hydrophobia. I'm like, well, you learn something new every day. That's interesting. And like I said, I will say, by the final act, there is a bit more gore. I'm not going to say it's just plain. I'm just saying it's not like Dawn of the Dead or Day of the Dead or what you would see in even like Rambo 4. Like, that's more gory than this. But there's still, someone gets stabbed. Like, someone gets their head cut off, like I mentioned. Someone gets stabbed from behind and it goes through the person's mouth. One person's found with a pitchfork in their neck. And this was not a common thing to see in this time of day. Maybe in Europe you would see more graphic stuff, but for 1971, this was shocking. So in a weird way, it kind of paved the way a little bit for violence in cinema. But yeah, like I said, it does have awkward cuts, like the ending where it's two people talking. Well, I'm glad we put them down, because to die from hydrophobia, that's even worse. And then boom, it cuts to the end credits and a kid walking in the field. Oh, okay, because they cut the other shit out. But I mean, it's an hour and 15, less than an hour and 20 minutes, so it wasn't boring. It was fairly short. I'm a sucker for that grindhouse, grungy look. Maybe because it's such a opposite to today where, yes, I can enjoy a film that's very crystal clear and HDDD, but not every single film. Sometimes I like a film that's got a little bit of 16 millimeter or 35 millimeter scratches and grungy look and color and no fake filters, and sometimes it gives a bit of a character to it, if that makes sense. And like I said, it's an off-the-wall plot. Is it interesting predecessor to other movies where people go crazy, and like you said, 28 Days Later or The Crazies or other stuff. And I'll be honest, I was never the biggest on George Romero's The Crazies. While I would say that's a better directed, like put together film than this, I'd probably rather watch this film because, again, this film is a bit more weirder and more quirky and more, like I said, interesting. And with the ending they have, it's a much happier ending, which I'm a sucker for as well. So, yeah, I Drink Your Blood. I would say it depends on how you feel about exploitation films. I think it's worth one look. It's for free on YouTube. Doesn't take much of your time. It's not great, but it's in a weird way, it's unique for what it is, and was kind of a little bit ahead of its time and what some of the other films would do afterward. So, despite its flaws, there's something about it that just makes it go, like, okay, for example, this is the best way to put it. The cult member, Horace, is the character's name. Again, the real guy's name, I cannot pronounce. Chowdhury. He's fighting and choking a guy, an old guy. And in the middle of the choking, the old guy's dentures fall off. And then, he chokes the guy to death. And apparently that was a mistake, but they left it in because it left a bit of a weird, quirky bit to it. And that's what I mean, like, how many days do you have someone choking someone out and the fucking dentures fall off in the middle of the fight? And it's just stuff like that that go, okay, this is, it definitely has a weird vibe to it. And like I said, at least it definitely did not make it boring, at least in my opinion. So, yeah, I did not mind I Drink Your Blood. So with that said, thanks for watching, take care, and we will see you guys later. Bye-bye.